Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December 20th Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first thing we have on our agenda this morning are our minutes. Gentlemen, do you have any additions or corrections?
I do not.
I don't either.
Okay.
I move we approve the minutes from the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for Tuesday, December 6th, 2022, and the minutes for special meeting on Thursday, December 15th, 2022.
Second. Oh. We had a bunch of,
And also those held on Monday, December 5th, 2022.
now I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for December 15th, 2022 and December 6th, 2022. Also within that motion, we had an E911 board meeting, and that was for December 5th of 2022. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Planning? No.
No, budget.
Oh. Okay.
Need a public hearing for the 2023 budget.
All right. Well, then we'll move into a public hearing. So Kim, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Candelaria,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay,
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver,
Here.
Administrator Anderson,
Here?
Attorney McLaren,
Here.
and Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that a proposed budget for the 2023 has been submitted to the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners. The budget is available for public inspection online, the Montezuma County website at https://montezumacounty.org, Montezuma-county-2023-budget. A hard copy is also available in the BOCC meeting room at 109 West Main Street, room 250, Cortez. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, at the regular Board of County Commissioners meeting at 9 a.m., followed by the adoption of the budget on Tuesday, December 27th, 2022, also at the regular meeting at 9 a.m. For more information, please call the County Administrator, Travis Anderson, during regular business hours at 970-565-8317.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Travis, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I don't. Just public hearing, in case there's electors that want to submit objections, either verbally or in writing.
Okay. Well, with that, then I'll open this up. If there is anybody who wants to speak for or against the budget as it's been proposed, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment and I'll bring this back to the commissioners. This will be in front of us on the 27th for approval. And I think this is just a continuation until that time. Is that correct, Ian?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So I would need a movement to move this forward to the 27th.
I would so move, we put on the agenda and move forward the budget, the 2023 budget for Montezuma County.
The 2022 budget? or
2023.
23 budget.
Okay.
23
The
budget.
23 budget.
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to continue this public hearing until December 27th for the proposed 2023 budget of Montezuma County. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, planning. Okay, first thing we have on our agenda today is another public hearing, so would you call the roll, Kim?
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination of a general planned unit development, special use permit, and AR 35 plus rezoning application submitted by Elevated Smoke LLC, Agent Cole Clark, on property located at 7231 Road 25, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 35 acres more or less, located north of Road G, west of Road 25, situated in Section 3, Township 36 North, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices at 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 29th day of November, 2022. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, November 30th, 2022.
Thank you, Kim. All right, Don, do you want to give us an overview, and are the applicants here?
Yes, he is. Mr. Clerk, would you come up? So, Mr. Clark is proposing, or proposed this application and development to planning and zoning. In that public hearing, it was moved to deny it based on the some of the commissioners not feeling that it exactly fit within the area. The vote was 3-2 on that. After that, he did petition our office to appear before the county commissioners, so that's been republic noticed and public hearing today. He is proposing to put in 3 quadruplexes in 3 different phases, basically 1 each year as he develops the property. That would be the PUD aspect of this. Rezoning is just that 35-acre parcel, zone 10 to 34. For some reason, when an applicant comes in, we just try and align those with the land use code. Just being rezoned to AR 35 plus versus AR 10 to 34. The PUD itself would be have a commercial envelope. It would have to be surveyed with a legal description that encompasses just the PUD. Access is off of Road G, across from Road 24.8. And you see there phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the buildings. If that full development occurs over the course of 3 years.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Cole?
No, I think Don covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right, commissioners, questions before we move further?
Not at this time.
Okay. So I do have one question. As I was doing my research and reading through those minutes, something that stuck out in my mind said that it did comply with the land use code. So I'm
Correct.
curious of why the denial process was there. What was the criteria? Because it's not real specific of why it came to a 3-2 vote. Because
There was a lengthy discussion among the P&Z commissioners. Basically, it's the subjective part of the land use code, rather they feel that it fits or doesn't fit within the area. Traffic was discussed, but I don't know if Cole was gonna check with Road and Bridge, see if they had any traffic counts there. I know, Rob did have some when we were looking to pave 25 to the landfill, but we've got Love's Truck Stop going in the intersection, so I would guess this traffic's gonna be negligible compared to what that's gonna bring through that intersection. It's already a lot of traffic on 25 south and G to the highway. But that was the discussion with the P&Z commissioners. It's just a matter of if they feel that it fits or doesn't fit within the area. Purely subjective at that point. It
Okay.
meets all the objective parts of the land use code.
Because we have multifamily in the area, we have multifamily within a mile away, within a half a mile away, we have a commercial business across the street. So I'm curious, I guess that's my whole question is, how does it not fit within the area of what's there? I mean, we
Right.
have a retirement home right across the street, basically, or just a couple 100 feet down the road.
Yeah, just
So-
down the road to the west, correct?
Which is a commercial application, which is what we're looking at here. So, okay, so that was purely a subjective, because the first bullet point that I read said it complies with all of the land use code.
Correct.
Okay. All right, you don't have anything at this time?
I did get with Rob Englehart at Road and Bridge, and I was asking for a road study to see how many people would going down the road, and he was not. He said it would be completely subjective because there's no maximum amount of traffic. He said basically the amount of traffic for the capacity that the road has is cars basically stacked bumper to bumper. So he said as many cars that can be on the road as possible. So he said basically there is no maximum threshold that that the road has capacity for. So he wasn't wanting to do a road study, especially because winter and then the snow tears up the stripping and things like that for the tester. So I wasn't able to get those results.
Okay. All right. Guys ready?
Yeah.
Open this up?
Yeah.
All right. Well then, I will now open this portion up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Jim Dickinson, and I live right across from that at 24870 Road G. And my biggest thing is changing the zoning. Everything around it for a long ways is 3 acres and agriculture and residential. And then sticking a commercial thing right in the middle of that seems to me like a slippery slope to a whole lot of development and making it into a town rather than the rural living that everybody around there wants. The traffic is a problem to somebody maybe, but they run up and down that road all the time. It isn't gonna, that isn't my concern. My concern is changing that zoning and opening the door for all kinds of not good stuff. Because when you put commercial in the middle of residential, it kind of ruins the residential part of it. So that's why I oppose it.
Okay.
I really don't want to see it changed. That's why we bought there, so that that's my little patch of grass that I had worked for 50 years to get. I don't want town for a neighbor. That's why I moved out there. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Morning. My name is Cheryl Dean. I live at, I have an antique corral at 6817 Highway 160. And my number one concern is Cole's background, he leased a building from me, and he signed a 3-year lease, and he walked away from it after a year. Is he gonna walk away from this after it's been done, or halfway done? So that's my biggest concern. My second concern is, he's saying that it's gonna be low income. A lot of low-income people do not have vehicles. That means there's gonna be a lot of people walking on that road, which is not wide enough for pedestrian traffic. So that is another concern of mine. The third concern is septic tank, water. I don't know how that's all gonna work out. I don't think that it would even pass a perk test down there because it's so low, and there's alkali and everything. So, but those are my main concerns, is integrity and those concerns. I don't think it's the place for a multifamily dwelling. He needs to go back towards town and do something somewhere else. So those are my concerns.
Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Trent Carver. I live at 24940 County Road G, just across from the property that we're speaking of. My largest concern, and I have many of them, is that...
Real quick, sir, can you pull the mic down? It's not coming through.
Yes, sir. My largest concern is that when I moved upon my property in 2002, I took a backhoe out there. I dug a hole 8 feet deep. There was no water. We were in the middle of a drought. 4 years later, I went to go under my house to do some modifications, and I landed in 12 inches of water. The water table in that area goes up and down. When I built my shop, I had to build the footers 4 foot wide all the way around and across, just so it would float on top of the ground. You dig 24 inches down, you hit water. This year, maybe not. Next year, who knows? But I had a septic system installed. It was per code, it was done properly, and it failed because there was too much water. I ended up having to move my septic system to the far northeast corner of my property because it was the only place it could be found where I could get enough dry ground to make a septic system work. I know that the land across the road is just as wet, if not wetter than mine is, and any development there, any kind of septic system development will cause problems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. And now it has to come down even lower. My name's Christy Ross. I live at 6520 Road 24.5 Road. So I'm a ways away from it. But, and the comment about all of the traffic coming from the new Loves that's going in, I don't see it going down our road. I think it's probably gonna stay a whole lot closer to the highway. Yes, there'll probably be a little bit more coming down G, but I don't know if it's gonna increase it nearly as much as a development like this will. Well, yes, there'll be a lot of people walking. I've unfortunately had to live near a low-income development before. There is a lot of traffic. They come and go, 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 they come and go. I'm not real sure why, but they do. So it is going to increase the traffic on that road, on both those roads, dramatically. And besides that, all of us that live out there, live there because we like being in the country. We don't want to be in town. I don't have a problem with him doing his project. It just needs to be a little closer to the metropolitan part of the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, County Commissioners. I don't know that
Morning.
this is working.
Yeah, you're on.
Bregan Amico South, 7127 Road 25.4. Thank you for listening to our comments. In regards to this proposal, the elevated smoke and Mr. Clark, he may meet all the supposed land use code requirements, but the question is, like you said, is this request compatible for the area he wants to put it in? Our response would be no. According to the Montezuma Land Use Code, Section 1201, quote, "One of the major objectives of the comprehensive land use plan is to protect the rural character of the county through the enactment of development regulations appropriate for rural areas." The area in question is a rural and agricultural area, not in a city area, which is compatible for apartments. Therefore, we request you deny this proposal. If Mr. Clark would like to subdivide into 3-acre lots, we would not be opposed to that because that's what's in the area. Mr. Candelaria, you brought up that there is a commercial endeavor across the street, but it's a it's a old folks home, a rehab home. They don't have cars going in and out except for the employees and maybe some visitors. Not what he originally proposed, which were 20 units, plus possibly a future RV park and short-term rentals, which I know has to go through more PUDs or planning and zoning. But we feel that if you allow this proposal, you'll be setting the precedence for a high occupancy dwelling anywhere throughout the county. Therefore, we respectfully ask you to vote against this proposal.
Just might I add on, Section 1201 of the Land Use Code talks about preserving the integrity of the rural area. So I would suggest that you consider that before you make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Wendell Fry, I live 25089 Road G. In October, this was denied and defeated, and it was attempted to be reduced to one issue, and that was traffic. That is incorrect. Traffic is one thing. There was proposed 20 homes going in. The average home has 2 cars. Do the math on that. Most people will not be on G, they'll be going up 25. So we're gonna have more traffic on there. The other thing is, 1201 general guidelines for development in the county is to protect the rural county. We just heard about that. To protect the rural county. This proposed development does not fit the surrounding area. When we were in October, we were told that this was supposed to meet the housing issues that are in this area. Well, let me tell you, RV parks won't do it, and that's what's proposed as well. That plus the additional traffic, additional trailers, additional trucks. The short-term rentals that are proposed also, maybe in times coming, but still proposed. I'm not sure what that is, maybe VRBOs or Airbnbs, but I'm not sure how that also assists in the housing issues that he cited back in October. 20 apartments, that also will not do it. This is not the area, the 20 apartments don't belong there. The 20 apartments would belong somewhere else. There's better places for it. I totally in support of keeping the zoning the way it is. If we wanted to put housing out there on 3 acres, I am totally for that. He can still, what he said in October is he wanted to keep it with the option of selling at some point, all or part. If he wants to continue, if he wants to be a landlord, he can actually build the houses, keep a few. There'd be, and he said that he would make the apartments lovely or look good. I'm sure if he's that good a builder, I'm sure he can make the housing look good. And he can keep a few and be a landlord. When the issue of affordable housing came up in May 26, Mr. Candelaria, I can quote you saying, the county, where's your quote? The county does not control affordable housing, nor should it. Affordable housing, or whatever catchphrase or term we're using or wanting to use, belongs elsewhere. This is part of the rural area. This is what we treasure. This is what we cherish. That's why we're there. We intend to keep it that way because it's what we want, why we're there. There are other areas that are more suitable for affordable housing or an apartment complex. please, I urge you, do not change the zoning. That's there to protect us. The 1201 is there to protect the rural areas of the county. I thank you for your time, and please don't destroy what we hold dear and cherish. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me have one moment of clarification here for you, Don, because something was just brought up, an RV park that I didn't see on this application at all, so, and
So
then
in
also
the
24
application,
apartments?
it says, in the future, is there ever any other type of development that you may be considering or proposing? And that's a reference to possible RVs or short-term rentals. It's not part of any application or anything that's been reviewed or.
Okay, so it's not part of this GPUD at all?
Correct.
So what we're looking at is just 3 phases of 4 of 3 quadruplexes is all we're looking at.
Correct.
So 24 apartments, an RV park, whatever was just stated is not, it's not part of this application, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make a clarification.
Fair enough.
Sorry, next. You can just line up over here and be ready.
Good morning. My name is Mike Lynch. I live at 21730 Road S. I'm not directly affected by this. I live way away. But I do want to concur with some of the previous opinions in regard to the rural setting and a commercial development in a rural area of our county. It seems to me, in my opinion, that even though our land use code allows that, it seems like it's an unwanted loophole in our land and use code. It's undesirable, and it impacts landowners in a way that they had never imagined that they could have been impacted when they bought their property, with the hopes that they were buying in a rural area and it would stay a rural area. And so I concur with that opinion, and I would encourage the commissioners to address that apparent contradiction or loophole by trying to get the land and use code amended to mitigate or take care of this apparent problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Dave Dove. I live at 7823 Road 25, about a mile north. I have to disagree with your summary of the meeting, the P&Z meeting. I don't believe they said that this met the land code. I think what the problem with the commissioners, if that's, I don't know what their term is, was that it didn't fit the character of that part of the valley. It didn't fit in, and that is part of the land use code, that's supposed to fit in. And I don't know this process. Are you representing him, or are you, I don't know who you are.
So this is just time for
This is-
public comment.
It's public comment.
Oh.
So you can, your comment is to us?
No, I know, I just wanted to know, because it sounded like he's his lawyer or something. I didn't know if that was the case.
He's our
but
planning director.
My problem that I'm having is, I've been living there, we got the land in '88 and moved there full-time in '90. We have seen an incredible increase of traffic on that 25. And by the way, there are current traffic counts by the state. They have the recorders out there. They put them out there all the time. I'll bet they've had them out there 3 times in the last 3 years, I would guess, maybe 4 years. We've had a huge increase in traffic, and heavy trucks, which that road is not made for. I had 11 over-the-road 18-wheelers. I know what these trucks do to the roads, because I had to pay a heavy use tax, and it's expensive. We have engine brakes used all over this county. There's no signs. Why do we allow this? But that's what we're getting right out there, and we get incredible amount of traffic, and we have crime, runaway crime. And we've talked to the law, and the law won't do anything about it. It's out of control. If this is allowed to go in, and by the way, right out in the ditch in front of his property, if you look in that ditch, you'll see water right now and reeds. I'm familiar with hydrology because of the work that I do. The water table is very high there. There's no question about it. There's no way that that's going to be a wet ditch all the time. It's always wet there. But if you put these in there and you add another 50 cars coming and going, as the lady said just a few speakers ago, you're going to destroy this part of the valley. People put their fortune into trying to find a good place to live, and you're going to let one guy who could simply just sell that and go buy a lot where the infrastructure is suitable for that. So I urge you, please, don't do this to us. The people in this room here are not in support of this project. And if you vote for this after it got turned down in the last committee, you might as well throw out the Planning and Zoning Committee. What good are they? So thank you for listening, and I hope you will please don't let this happen to us.
Thank you. And just to address your comment, planning works for the county is all they do are bring the application forward so that everybody knows that. There are no attorneys here, but the attorney that represents us sitting up here with us. So these are county employees. Next.
Good morning. I don't know if you can hear. First of all, I want to say sorry for the loss of Joel Stevenson, his first Christmas without us. And I want to say that I'm Sharon Goodall, and I live at 7251 County Road 25. And I, like the others, it's hard to know with apartments coming in. I seen what happened with my brother back there by the baseball field that had low-income residents. It turned awful. They came, they went, there was stealing, there was drugs, there was alcohol, there was different things that we don't want to come in, let alone to have our kids ride four-wheelers, horses, other things. And also my neighbors, Sean and Felina Stroud, I sold some property to them. They wanted to get away from the busy road, and we don't want this in our backyard. And so I just pray that the answer to the commissioners would be no. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next.
I'm Jody Lamb. I live at 7176 County Road 25. I have lived there since 1997.
Can you pull that a little bit closer?
I've lived there since 1997. I've had the property for a long time. I think Mr. Clark bought this property this last summer with the plans to develop it and do all these things. The one thing that hasn't yet been brought up is property values. That's one of my concerns. My neighbors across the street lost the sale of their house because the potential buyers got wind of what this plan was and they backed out of the sale. Traffic is another concern. That road has no shoulder. There's already a ton of traffic down there. The shortest way to town from this location where this unit is being proposed is to go to Road G, east to 25, straight up through town. That's gonna be the shortcut. Nobody's gonna go around to the highway. There's no shoulder. There's people that walk. There's people with animals. There's people that ride horses. There's cattle drives. There's people riding bikes. There's the trash trucks. There's a ton of traffic already. There's the school buses. There's kids getting on and off the bus. There's nowhere for anybody to get off that road except down into the bar ditch if they need to. In the original, I realize it's not part of this application, in the original proposition, it mentions RV park, event center, short-term rentals, 5 apartment complexes. I think in the planning commission meeting, he had scaled it back to 3 to be within the statute of limitations to get things done. If 3 are allowed, why not put in 2 more later? Why not put in an event center later? Why not put in an RV center later? Because you've already done all these other things. Why not let him keep adding? I don't think any one person should be able to say what another person can do with their property. But at this point, he has choices. He can put in 10-acre lots with high-end homes and make millions. He can put in 3-acre lots with high-end homes and make a ton of money. We as property owners, we don't have choices. We have sunk our money, our futures, our children's futures into our pieces of property there. If property values go down, which I think they already have because my neighbors can't sell their house now, we don't have choices. We are stuck with what we have. He has choices. He can sell the property. He can change his plan. He can do whatever he wants. It would just be a real shame to allow something to go in that is going to decimate our property values where we can't even sell them if we want to. I don't want to. This is my home. This is where I chose to be my home. This is where I raised my kids. This is where I want to be. But if I would need to sell, I would hate to not be able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21 out at Lewis. And no, this doesn't impact me right at this time directly. I do think what I've been hearing is it will set precedents. If this gets built here, from what I see, the difficulty with the water table, the septic issues, then it may become something that others will then start seeing that they'll move out into the county just so that they can do something similar. And again, the ruralness of our county is very important to a lot of people. And so I think the arguments that have been stated already by people that have spoke, I think are very strong and they need to be listened to. I think more tests should be done on this property before this is approved. I don't think you should just jump into it and say, well, it's an application and we want to go ahead with this. But the groundwater issue is probably the biggest that I see there that's going to be a problem to something like this. We know what it's like even at the Love's location. So I think, I do hope that the commissioners will listen to this and not allow precedents to be set here in our rural community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Stephanie Fry. I'm on 25089 Road G.
Can you get that in? Because we're recording this and it's actually live, so the closer you can get, the better off we are. Thank you.
Stephanie Fry, 25089 Road G. I am against this. I know, Mr. Candelaria, you said that you didn't know about the RV park at this time, but as was mentioned, I feel like once these 3 are passed, I think you and everyone here knows that once this passes, everything else will pass. The wedding venue, the RV park, everything, I mean, it's not gonna be an issue to pass. So I think this is setting a precedence of what could happen in the future. And everyone here loves where we live. We love the rural setting. We love everything about it. Real quick, Mr. Clark in the October meeting had, in one sentence, he had said something about the area being bedrock, and then in the next sentence, he said that it was swamp. So I'm not really sure how that plays into it. I don't know a lot about it, but I do feel like there could be issues because there is water sitting on the sides of the road a lot. So I feel like the sewer would definitely be an issue. Also, the comment about it being low-income housing and people walking on the road. There is already a lot of crime and garbage that goes on in that area. I feel like people walking more people walking would be more crime and more mischief happening. In the land use code 1201.2, the threshold standards established. So in there it says, sorry, if you'll just give me a second. If there is an impact that creates an increased risk to health, safety, and welfare. I do feel like with my family and 2 daughters living so closely, I do feel like that would be a safety issue. And I would love to be able to stay where we are. And one more thing real quick. In a Republican debate for the commissioners, Mr. Candelaria, I remember you saying that you base your decisions on facts. There could be a lot of facts going on here, but one fact is our commissioners are not responsible to the voters. I believe you guys were voted in. You are responsible to the voters, and we are all voters here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Rick Meredith. I live at 7961 Road 26.1 Loop. It's just off of County Road H. I want to repeat what several people have said, that one of the important parts of the land use code is to preserve the rural nature of Montezuma County. This area from 27 to H to 25 and G is primarily rural in nature. There are a few exceptions, but most of the properties are either farmland or 3 to 5 acre rural homesteads. I know that the issue before the Board of Commissioners today is just those 12 units in that particular area, but I believe the original application included 20 units, and that 2 of them were dropped out, not because he couldn't complete all 5 of them in a time frame that was necessary. So I think that the board needs to consider that there are other things planned for this 35-acre site. If you look up there, those 3 are only going to be on a 3 to 5 acre site. If the other 2 are put in there, that's 20 units on just 3 to 5 acres, or 4 units per acre, where the majority of home sites around there are 1 house per 3 to 5 acres. I sincerely believe that this proposal does not fit the rural nature of that area, and your approval, well, let me back up. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard his proposal. It was overwhelmingly opposed by people in the area, and the Planning and Zoning Commission decided it did not fit the rural nature of that particular area. And if you overturn that decision, I think it sets a precedent, like several other people have said, and that those of us who are landowners in the area will not have a reasonable expectation that our community will remain free of unwanted commercial development, because that's what this really is. 20 homes, an RV park, an event center, and short-term rentals, and it really doesn't fit that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anybody else?
Good morning. My name is Chris Callister. I live at 7131 Road 25, right where you see that circle at the top. That's my back part of my 3 acres right there. I'm from Durango. I've lived there about 30 years of my life. My wife and I busted our butts to save money to be able to live in the area that we want to. We chose Cortez in this sweet little spot that sits right there on the screen, and we closed on our house literally 2 weeks ago. We were unfamiliar with any of this going on. We chose this area because we wanted to live in that area. We have a little 3-year-old daughter. We want her to grow up in a place that was safe, that feels good, that she can understand and know what good and wholesomeness is in the community, and that's what we felt, and that's why we moved to this area. I don't really have much to stand on. I haven't been here that long, but I completely understand where all these people are coming from. It's not worth changing it the way you guys, or this gentleman's talking about. I understand his want for whatever he wants in his life, but as many have said, there's a lot of other places you can go out and do that. Don't rip into what's been so special and appreciated and loved, and busting people that earned it and deserve to keep it the way that's why they moved there. That's why it stayed the way it is to today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Okay, seeing no further public comment, I'm going to close the public comment session of this application hearing. And I'll bring it back to the commissioners. Gentlemen, do you have?
Commissioner, if I may just ask a couple questions?
Sure.
So, Mr. Cole, at this point, you're planning on continuing, once these things are built, to continue to own them and then rent out the units? Is that your plan?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And so, commissioners, I guess one concern that I have, and Don, this is, right now, the zoning application, the rezoning is only for AR zoning, correct? There's no commercial zoning that's been applied for?
No, part of the PUD would require a commercial envelope, so it would be surveyed to encompass these facilities and the access. That would have its own legal description, but the rezoning is, currently it's zoned AR 10 to 34. Technically, it should be AR 35 plus. That's the rezoning part. When people apply or come to our office to look for further development, we go ahead and address the zoning issues if there is one. So that's the rezoning aspect of this. We can't, or typically haven't in the past, the commissioners have not wanted to rezone, 35 acres as commercial or anything higher, because it opens it up to a lot of issues on a lot of property, and that's not what we want to see, so that's why it's a commercial envelope. But the rezoning is to correct the AR 10 to 34 zoning to AR 35 plus.
So, commissioners, I think one thing you have to consider, I think that there's two, and I certainly understand what Mr. Haley's saying about the commercial envelope and that being part of this. But when you look at section 1201 of the land use code, that's the one that a lot of the public commenters cited about maintaining rural character of the county. And then you jump into the zoning chapter, that's 3314-1, and it talks about the purpose of a commercial zone. And what it says is that the commercial zone allows for the establishment and expansion of uses that are predominantly commercial. And one of the uses by right under that commercial zoning definition is, it's a number 21, it's group homes, long-term care facilities, and multifamily dwellings. Certainly in this situation, what Mr. Clark is proposing is a multifamily dwelling. I think that certainly it is commercial in nature. And so I certainly understand that there has been a history of not wanting to zone these 35-acre parcels commercial. And there would be a commercial zoning envelope. I think at the same time, I think it's important to consider, when you look at the zoning around this area, much of it is agriculture, and the majority of it is agricultural zoning. Does a commercial use fit within that? And if we're going to use this property for predominantly commercial uses, it may be appropriate to to rezone this as commercial.
Other than just the envelopes?
Well, you
Because
can,
that's what you're saying, right, Don? The GPUD would just be zoned, whatever that is, if it's, I'm gonna take a guess, 5 acres maybe?
I think it's
6
7.
acres? 7?
Mm-hmm.
So that would still be the 35 plus zoning for the rest of the property and that?
Correct,
just
because
that.
this is not being separated out of the 35 acres. It's contained within.
Okay,
So that's why the commercial envelope, and that's why it has a legal description. You can't do any development outside of that envelope. The envelope encompasses what is applied for in the PUD.
okay. Anything else, Ian?
yeah, I mean, it certainly creates an interesting question because, I mean, the PUD regulations do allow for a commercial envelope. But then on the flip side, I mean, there is the zoning out there and, I mean, ultimately what's happening here is this property is being used for commercial uses in a zone that is rural in character and agricultural nature by zoning and by use. So just something to consider.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go first?
Need to close the public hearing.
So
Not yet.
what's the difference
Not yet.
whenever we do this? If we put commercial zoning in that corner right there, what's the difference between this and doing spot zoning any place in the county?
Commissioner, I think that was kind of the point that I was getting at. I think that, when you start to use the PUD process to create small commercial envelopes in agricultural areas, you are setting up a precedent where you can have spot zoning, and that's exactly where I was going with that. I mean, the land use code's interesting because it certainly does allow for a commercial envelope as part of a PUD, but then you've got this other zoning section out there that would seemingly define these sort of multifamily dwellings as a commercial use that would require zoning. So I think you run the risk of creating a situation where you do have spot zoning and that you run the risk of the PUD application process being used to, perhaps circumvent the zoning process.
That answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, that's my concern.
Well,
That's my
and
concern.
I guess that's what I brought it up in the beginning. If you go down 25 Road, just knowing the properties that are down there, like I said, we have a retirement home there. We have down 25 Road, and I haven't been down there for a while, but there's a mechanic shop, or used to be. Don't know if there still is, which is commercial. Turn the corner down H Road, we have quite a few commercial applications, all in agricultural or residential areas. Some big commercial areas down there. And we're within 1 mile of that, of the commercial or the zone. So say the highway that we look at everything else, we're within 1 mile of industrial or commercial, correct?
I don't know the exact distance, but roughly, it's probably a mile
So a mile and a
within the
quarter,
commercial
whatever,
industrial
within that
overlay zone.
Commercial and industrial overlay. So I'm not,
I would say though, Commissioner, that just because a commercial operation is operating on agricultural land, that doesn't mean that that's in conformance with the land use code. Commercial operations shouldn't be operating on land that's zoned agricultural residential.
correct, and I get that. And I think that's where you were coming from, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commissioner Lindsey.
I agree with a lot of the points that were brought up here today. The specific application we have before us today was denied by P&Z. We spent almost all day yesterday interviewing for people for P&Z. And if we go against a lot of their research and a lot of their heartbreak, I guess, for lack of a better term, we stand a chance of not filling those seats. People won't come if they feel that they have done it in vain. To look specifically at this, the septic is a good point. There's water down there. I played in that area as a kid, and I know what kind of water is down there. And can be, you get surface water at times down in that area. Looking north on 25 is mostly rural residential areas. Looking east on County Road G is a lot of rural residential agricultural areas, and the same is south on Road 25. So with that, I would so move that we deny this application.
And Commissioner, if you want to make that motion, I would suggest specifically citing to at least one portion of the land use code, and that would be section 1201, that talks about protecting the rural character of the county.
I would cite section 1201 as long as, and also 1201.2 specifically.
If I may add about the septic and the water, I had Craig Wickstrom from Wickstrom Engineering, a Colorado licensed engineer. I have the results right here. It's stating that the ground is adequate for septic usage and leach lines, and also for building, it's also adequate for that. So everyone else saying that it's not is speculative. This is a licensed engineer stating that it's ready to go.
I understand that. Motion stands.
Do you get it?
Yeah, 1201 and 1202. That's what I have.
1201.2.
And I'll second that motion because this zoning thing I think if zoning means anything in this county, we have to follow. And I don't think it has been followed like it should be. And so I think we need to take care of that. And I'm not saying we don't need to make some changes to our land use code, but I think we need to make some adjustments to it so that we have a better control of some of these situations that come up like this. 'Cause it's not a good situation. I understand all of yours. I've got property around this county all over the place, and I agree with you on a lot of things, but I also, this man's private property rights are important to me. And I'm not saying, I think we should, but I think we should change our code to where we need to come in and get this zoning done first. It's just like this man, he comes in and proposes to do these things. If we're gonna change something to commercial, we need to do it ahead of the proposal of what's coming before us. And so we're gonna, between us commissioners and our planning commission, we need to go back through, and I think we need to make some adjustments to our land use code and bring them forward in a public hearing for you. And personally, I think we need to work on that. But there's three of us up here, so it's going to depend on all of us.
Okay. All right. So it's been moved and seconded to deny this application as it relates to the land use code under section 12.01 and 12.02.
1201 and 1201.2.
1201.2, I'm sorry. So, further discussion. So, I do have some because I agree with Commissioner Copenhaver. We all have property rights, and our properties are equal. Our rights are equal on whichever side of the fence you're sitting on. I did go back here and look again at the emails that were sent to us, and it does comply with the land use code. Whether we like it or not, there are all kinds of things that can happen on properties located right next to us. And we are here to serve the right that everybody has the same equal right in their property. And I'm a firm believer of that. So based on the facts, and I'm going to address this again, traffic has not been addressed. You have a PE stamp for the application for septic and/or development of the sites. So I have a question for you. The way you have this drawn out, you have a rectangular drive. Is your intent to move farther with anything else, or is your intent just to stay with the 3 quadruplexes?
Right now, it's just the 3. I didn't realize I'd get so much backlash from the community. So the drive, I believe it had to be a full circle, or it had to have a cul-de-sac at the end, so it just made more sense to circle around.
Okay, because looking at that, it's designed to add, you could add 2 more above phase 2 and 1. So I'm just asking the question because there are a lot of things that have been brought up today that we didn't get the opportunity to see. We didn't see anything of an RV park in the application. We didn't see anything of 24 units in the application. We're only looking at one very specific item. So is your intent to do anything further than this?
As of right now, no.
In the future, in the near future?
No.
So,
especially with the space that I have, going over measurements and other things that we've been doing, there's just not quite enough space for septic for the other 2 units that were supposed to go across the field on, I believe it's the north red line right there. There were going to be 2 more units right there that I initially proposed, but I couldn't get them done, or wouldn't be able to get them done within the 3-year time limit. So, but after going over it with the engineer and doing more, just more research on it, it just doesn't seem, feasible to get done.
okay. Good?
Yeah.
All right. So then I will call the vote. And again, it was moved to deny this application under the premise of section 1201 and 1201.02 of the land use code.
And Commissioner, it sounded to me like Mr. Copenhafer had some zoning concerns as well that were part of his reason for denial.
And the zoning concern, which is part of another discussion I think that can happen down the road, right, Commissioner?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I hope I've stated that properly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Motion passes. This has been denied, and you will not be granted this GPUD. All right. With that, I will close this public hearing. All right. Next on our agenda, we have, still with planning, we have just a Mylar done?
Yeah, I figured that was going to have to happen.
So we just need to sign them?
I already started that.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Just contact us, let us know, or come up with the sketch.
Yeah, we got it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We gotta fix that.
Yes.
We gotta fix that.
We gotta have sit down with planning.
No, it's a process to go through changing the land use code, so we have to file it, and if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you go down 25 road, how many commercial businesses are there?
How many residences with agricultural,
Exactly. The zoning is spot zoning everywhere.
Yeah, but most of those places aren't zoned.
They are zoned.
They're not zoned.
It is because
Just because,
in the end, they zoned them all. Remember when they did it? I think it was when you guys were there, didn't you do the historic zone? If you weren't zoned, they went back to like historic zone.
they didn't zone. They didn't zone those commercial and industrial deals. Very few of them ever got zoned. Unless they come in here and went through a deal, they didn't.
Went back to historic, so that would be whatever was there.
whatever was there, but they didn't, the property itself is not zoned. You got your use that you've been doing, but it didn't zone it. Just because you were using it commercially, it didn't zone it commercial, that's the problem. The commercial part of it, that's what bothers me. It's just.
Goes on in the break room statement. Hazard pay. I need hazard pay.
I said I was just being myself. He knows. I'm in school with him. Oh, you guys signed this too? He said you're done. Now it's Kim's turn. Oh, don't bring that up with her. Oh, you can take this. I've got money and everything. Oh, okay. She got a license? Oh, okay. We're good. Somewhere's a rubber band.
Right, because it's just a small section. That's all he was doing was a small section. I guarantee you, get ready to start talking to the attorney.
That's fine. I mean, I think it's
Okay. All those are signed. What else do you have for us?
That's it.
That's it?
Unless you have questions for us.
Nope, I don't think we have any questions right now. Our questions
then.
were all asked.
We're good for today.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, thank you. We'll move along to our, let me get the right piece of paper here. Okay, we have our regular public comment now. Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time. With that, the public comment session is open.
Good morning. Is it on? Good morning. Alan Mays, 21693 County Road 21. I do want to say first off, you guys have a interesting job, of course, and so to all of you, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. My first comment from hearing from today's meeting, the budget and having the opportunity to be able to review and comment. I guess that's an important thing. I guess my only comment is always my concerns. You pass a budget, and then it seems like it doesn't take very long when departments start coming to you all and saying we need to make adjustments. And so I hope that you can hold them pretty close to what they put out there. I know things come up, but if they can't wait another year because they made a big error, there's just so much money to go around. I know that. So with those budgets in mind, I do hope that that's something that when departments do come to you in February and say, oh my gosh, I missed this, you hold them to, well, that's your job. You're supposed to not do that. But anyway, that's my comment on the budget. The only other thing is that a lady made a comment during the comment for the public hearing just a little bit ago about our values. And so I am glad to see you taking the time to really consider things that come before you. But you were elected based on the values that you hold and hold dear for your community. And so those are things that do need to be first and foremost, and I think for the most part that's everybody. But I just wanted to mention, I thought that was a strong point that she made, that whenever we're considering things, or you guys are considering things, that goes into play. The comment about the private property, I have that concern. I have private property. If I want to do something, may want to do it, but I do want to be able to follow the rules that we're given to do that. I can't just jump in there and say I want to do this and move forward on it. So we do have rules. We do have rules in a lot of different things in our lives, and if we have to make adjustments to those rules, then that, I guess, is what I want to comment on. We know that everywhere we go, adjustments can be made. So anyway, I want to thank you, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Next. Okay, with that, we'll close the public comment session of this, and we're going to move right straight into our public safety. First off, we have Sheriff. Was the DA coming in today, Travis? Okay.
Ta-da, look at that. We're doing pretty good. Morning.
Morning.
Okay. Calls for service in the month of November of this year, 1,409. You can see where our numbers aren't changing at all. We're increasing in a lot of given areas. Again, 91 bin inspections for our county clerk's office. I know they're still getting inundated with vehicle titles and registration, which is okay. As you can see, we had 52 traffic crashes that we responded to. Not all of those were crashes that we actually investigated. Probably about 25 of those are ours. The rest are state patrol with traffic control that was needed.
But that's 52 auto accidents in Montezuma County in 1 month.
Yep. And it's not going down. It just seems to be going up.
DMV needs to step up their game.
Yeah, they do. I tell you, I hear you. We had, again, for livestock, we're still dealing with those almost on a daily basis, where we have livestock at large outside of their property where they were located. 11 were on the roadway that had to be removed. We did have 2 cattle drives that we did assist with in the month of November. Again, I would encourage any livestock owners that are going to be driving cattle in heavy congested traffic areas just to call us so that we can come and help slow that traffic down and make it safe for them, their horses and dogs and their personnel. We had, we've had several thefts and burglaries. One of the biggest things is vehicle thefts. Again, having, bless you. It's okay, I've done that too. As far as automobile thefts, we had 9. Again, a lot of those are recovered. 4 of those were actual thefts. Again, I'm still have to use this platform as well as others to let people know that you gotta quit leaving your keys in the car, okay? All that does is invite the vehicle to be driven away. Don't leave it running while you run into.
Can you really call that a theft?
That's a theft.
Sure it's not a giveaway?
No, not when they come out and go, where is it at? Yeah. And what's sad about that is that is their, besides a person's home, a vehicle is the most important thing that we all have that gets us to and from work, to the stores, to hospitals, doctors, on and on. And we just want people to at least be cautious of that. The other thing is that I will bring up another note that during a lot of our traffic contacts that you've seen that we've had quite a few of, finding people that have both copies of the Colorado registration in their vehicle. The reason why there's 2 is because one has your physical address, the other one does not. That's the one that needs to be in the vehicle, not the one with your physical address. That should be kept in a safe place, away from that vehicle, just the same as not leaving your vehicle title in your car. Okay, that's just an opportunity for that vehicle to go bye-bye for a long way, okay? The thing with the address is that those that break into cars or steal vehicles know where that address is where you live, especially if they're breaking into vehicles in parking lots at stores, things like that. They know where you're at, and they know now where you live, and you're not home. Okay, does it make sense? That's why that law got changed, and I was a proponent with that 6 years ago, to get that changed to where there's 2 separate registrations. So, any questions?
Yeah, would it be a good idea to take, I mean, most people have a cell phone, take a picture of your registration with your cell phone and keep the
You
other one
can.
safe?
It's the same as the insurance.
Okay.
You can do that, but that's why that physical card matches that vehicle, and it also shows proof of ownership.
Can I add something to that? If you have both of your registrations in your vehicle and your vehicle's ever impounded, you don't have any proof of the ownership of that vehicle.
True.
Because they're both in the vehicle.
Yeah. Let's hope your vehicle doesn't get impounded.
Real quick, Sheriff, here's an interesting note. The other night, my wife called, and she's obviously in Nebraska, but somebody put an air tag to track her car.
Yep.
And
That's a new and upcoming theft item.
yeah, and it's hard to find that. We're still
It is.
trying to find it. So luckily our car's not stolen yet, but
They will be.
it will be.
And Apple and some of the others are now, I mean, they're only an inch by an inch, and you can stick them anywhere, and you can follow that. It's
Okay.
great for parents that want to know where their kids are at, but.
Explain to us old guys what an air tag is.
Okay, it's actually a.
Sorry, Sheriff, I didn't mean to go down that path.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Travis. It's actually a cellular device that you apply to your phone, and you can track the movements of that air tag. They put them in, it was developed actually for parents to put them in their children's backpacks or clothing so they could keep track of their child. If a child was to be missing, they could easily be tracked. Now they put them on cars. These are using those on cars. So they can track those vehicles, those movements, and they're identifying where they can actually be stolen. So.
It's just like your cell phone, man. That's exactly what it is.
Technology is advancing so fast, and the rest of everybody else is left in the dust. So, any questions about November's calls for service? Okay. For the jail in November, the month of November, We had, this is our transports, 7 adults, 1 juvenile. Total 113 transports for adults during the year from January to November. And as you can see, 10 juveniles for the year so far. As far as cost for transports, per diem motel, you're looking at the cost there. 3 deputies for the one in November, and what the cost is totally so far. That does not count for the fuel costs. For the month of November in the jail, here's our numbers on a daily basis. We had 66 was the most that we've had in. As you can see, they come and go constantly. Right now, we have 62 in the facility today. And for arrests and releases, this is how the numbers go. You'll see where we get arrests and some out. We get a few arrests and more go out. It's back and forth like this on a daily basis. So, okay.
So what's our average right now, as far as what we're holding? Is it the 96 in the jail right now? Is that?
No, that's how many came into the jail, yes, arrests.
So what are we holding right now? What's?
Right now, we have 62.
62.
There in the facility. And this changes, it fluctuates day and night. It really does.
So we're in better shape than we were in
Oh, gosh, yes. Are you kidding?
21.
The most I've had is, in the low 90s, and that's been a great saving. However, it doesn't help when, utility and food costs go up. It adds to that.
Mm-hmm.
But also on the food, I want to let you know that the refrigerator and freezers are up and running. We're back in business again. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. City of Cortez arrests and the billings for the city. We had 39 municipal arrests come in the month of November. The city of Cortez has been billed for $3,900. Dolores County, we had 38 days of these inmates, arrestees inside the facility. Dolores County has been billed $3,000 for the month of November. And for Department of Correction holds, the highest were 17 days. And this fluctuates anywhere from 2 to maybe 5 that we're holding for any period of time. But 17 days is not bad, and it's a whole lot better than what it was. So the Department of Corrections has been charged or billed with $4,100 for those total 41 days in the facility. We'll see that a reduced amount come in, like we always do. For jail operations, again, just an oversight to show what I just talked about. Those non-reimbursable prisoner arrests, 1,745 days, averaged at $100 a day. So the total was $185,500 for the total cost of prisoners in the month of November. For monies that came into the sheriff under the sheriff's fees, that is in your report as well. We are getting new grant awards now that are coming in, and those will be put together in a budget and presented to you next month. So total income and to the treasurer's office for under sheriff's fees was $110,716.35. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Business as usual.
Yep.
And the final thing I have is the contract with the town of Dolores. That was, that's their resolution R513. That is the 2023 contract with the town of Dolores and the sheriff. That was approved on December the 12th at their board meeting and is here for your approval and signatures.
I did look through this contract. It's pretty consistent with the other contracts that we've entered into with the town of Dolores. No legal issues, so if the sheriff's okay with the terms.
Yeah.
there's no
What was
reason
the
not to.
increase from last year?
220,000, so it went up 20,000.
20,000?
Yep. That'll cover everything that we need. And looking at the expenditures and whatnot, it'll be right in line. So unfortunately, it's, with this year's and stuff, especially the fuel costs and whatnot, there's not going to be much left in the budget for Dolores at the end of the month.
Can't imagine there
So,
being
but hey, didn't go over.
anything
all right?
left
So that's a
with
good
the
thing.
fuel cost.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get your new office picked out over there? Or did they allow you to do that, or did they assign you one in their new building?
In the new building where they're
Mhm.
going, yes. It's on the east side of that building. Access is either on the alley or in the southeast corner. But there's 2 offices there plus a lobby that's in that eastern portion of that new building. They're going to apparently start remodeling and whatnot. The only thing that needs to be done is a door and a wall that'll be put in that main hallway, just past the offices there, so that office is separate than the rest of the building. We have to have that secured because of the CCIC, NCIC terminals that we have in that building. I've also given county IT a heads up about when they start that remodeling and stuff. That's the only thing that's going to be done in those 2 offices in that lobby on that east side of the building, is just that wall. And so it won't interfere with them being able to go in and hook it up with internet and networking capacity. So they can go in and do that anytime after they start construction. I think they're waiting for a grant that from DOLA, I think, on that remodeling, if I heard that right.
I think that is correct.
Yeah, so whenever that'll happen, it'll be sometime next year. But right
Okay.
now, there's no heat in our substation. It's cold, but hey, it's all right. They're tough. They'll get through it. So anyway, anything else, gentlemen? I guess I have to wait for your approval on that. I'm
We're
sorry.
gonna look at that right now.
I better not do that right
I
away.
move we approve resolution R513, Series 2022, the 2023 contract for law enforcement services between Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office and the town of Dolores in the amount of $220,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the 2023 contract for law enforcement services between Montezuma County Board of Commissioners and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office and the town of Dolores as resolution number 513, Series 2022. Any further discussion?
I can pick it up tomorrow.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oops. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, have a good Christmas.
Mm-hmm. You too.
You too, Steve.
We will be busy.
Okay. Next, we have coroner's office.
Have to pick up my papers.
He can come sit at the table and be ready.
I'm out of his way.
Good morning.
Morning.
As you can see, November was a very busy month. We had 22 deaths that the coroner's office investigated. We had 6 hospice cases. We did 12 autopsies in the month of November. We had 1 fatal motor vehicle accident and 2 suicides. So the holiday suicides are kicked off, and I'm hoping we're shut down now. So far for the year, we're at 241 cases. There are 158 of those are coroner cases. 78 of them are hospice deaths. We've had 8 fatal motor vehicle accidents to date, 10 suicides, 10 overdoses. 6 of those are to fentanyl. So that's still picking up all over the Southwest corner. We're still at 5 homicides, and we've done 179 autopsies as of yesterday. So, and then for year-to-date numbers, we're 4 deaths ahead of last year. So,
To date.
pardon?
To date.
Yes.
4 deaths ahead of last year. So it's somewhat consistent.
Somewhere consistent, but last year we jumped up 39 deaths over normal. I was hoping it was a one-time deal, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. Just kind of holding consistent, it looks like. So,
Okay.
any questions?
Questions?
Or George,
Yes, sir.
OD's higher this year than last?
Pardon?
Overdoses higher this year than
They are.
last?
They are. Last year, as far as fentanyl deaths, it's kind of strange, I guess. In the last 3 years, I had 0 fentanyl deaths. 2 years ago, I had 1 last year, and I'm at 6 this year. Heroin used to be a big deal, and I had 1 2 years ago, none last year, and none this year. So it's like people are switching gears on drugs. So, oxycodone, that's always a favorite. We've had several of those. Methamphetamine, that's a favorite. That's normally our most overdose is from methamphetamine, but now fentanyl's taken over. So, and we had 1 so far this month that most likely is an overdose. Waiting on toxicology on it.
Okay.
Anything?
Sounds good. Thank you, George.
All right.
Thanks,
You
George.
guys have a good day.
Yep. And I was going to go right by the district attorney, but I see, however, we have a representative.
I apologize. We did not coordinate in time to get it switched to a Wednesday so he could actually be in front of you guys. So you get me.
It's okay.
We are working on implementing a new kind of discovery system, defense reporting and whatnot. State Patrol's getting ready to move to body cams at the beginning of the year. And so we're kind of getting on board with the rest of the state and how they do it. We had been advanced prior, and so we just really hadn't messed around with their system a bunch. But with State Patrol moving to this and everybody kind of being on the same page with what body cams and report management systems they use, we decided we'd go ahead and get on board with what else the state uses and how all the other jurisdictions do. So we've been working with IT a little bit on that and law enforcement agencies. We expect some increase in workload with State Patrol moving to with body cams. It's just more material for us to process, which is fine. We like it. We'd rather have more evidence than no evidence, so we're okay with it. We did hire an attorney last month out of Aztec, and she's working out well so far. So I think that's kind of it. I was going to have the year-end statistics for you guys next month. So, and then Matt just wanted me to ask if there was any discussion from the Board of Commissioners about applying for the opioid infrastructure funding. The application was just released, I believe. So I think it would be.
We haven't had any discussion on it
Okay.
at all. So is that something that he wants to take on, or what?
Potentially, yes. It's to help with infrastructure for treating the opioid pandemic or, epidemic. So I think, what we've always been in discussions about is some kind of treatment facility, detox facility, that sort of thing. So our grant writer that we have in our office is going to be looking at what all we can do with it and whatnot. And so there just may be some discussion with you gentlemen in the near future about what that may look like and how maybe we can combine forces.
So would that be, is that
I'm thinking shack.
individual from what we're doing with
I think it's a
everything
little
else within the
different.
region? Because the region is
Region
what we've been
nine is-
putting our whole focus
Right.
towards.
So
So I
that's
thi-
the settlement money.
That's the
And
setup.
this is a grant.
Okay.
So they're a little bit different, but that's the thing, is I think that we could combine them to potentially, create a facility together.
So the settlement money is managed by the regional commission.
Yeah.
And so that would be separate from any grant money. Now, that doesn't mean that the regional commission couldn't act to combine their funds with some other grant funds that were obtained to build a facility. But
Right,
it
'cause
is
I know
two
they were-
different- It is two different pots of money and two different things.
Correct. And I know we had been talking, because everyone's ideal, resolvement is a facility, but there was just not enough money in the settlement to even start that up, and so.
Oh, no. Not anywhere close.
Right, exactly. So I don't know to what extent we might be able to discuss how those could be combined.
That's why we were
and
working in a
utilized.
region, and then La Plata County, I thought, was awarded that, they had to go through a planning grant for the old Denier, right? Is
Yeah,
that
the
what it was
Denier
called,
building.
Denier Building?
Right.
To remodel that, to change that back into an actual facility here within this local region.
Right.
So I don't know where they stand with that.
I don't know if we've heard either, but I think we would all like to start getting on board with discussing and collaborating more,
Okay.
and especially with this application out. And we'll probably, once our grant writer takes a look at everything and kind of gets an idea, because he can also find out, he works with diversion as well. And so I know he has resources in Durango that he talks to with the facilities and whatnot, that we could probably get a better idea of how best to utilize all of it efficiently and with the other funding that's come in and whatnot. So just be prepared, I guess, for
Okay.
those discussions.
Yeah.
We'd like to do something for this community. So if we have the opportunity to, and we can get some grant money too, it'd be amazing.
Is that a one-time grant, or is that sustainable to, I mean, because here's the question, is it's easy to put the capital outlay to build a facility.
Sure.
But to keep the facility operating,
Operation.
that's what's,
Just to
it's
find
just
the
a
staff.
larger,
Right.
correct, find the staff and to keep it functioning
Yeah.
year to year, that's the bigger problem.
Right, and I think this grant is specifically for a one-time only kind of thing, but there's other grants that once you have something established, it's a lot easier to sort of get that revolving door for funding on it. So I know startup is generally the most complicated and difficult thing to fund. So if we can get past that hurdle, I think it'd be easier to get the day-to-day kind of operations and staffing and personnel and kind of stuff,
Okay.
hopefully.
All
All
right.
hypothetical,
Yeah.
of course.
We'll look into it and we can start that conversation.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Any other questions for me, sir? Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you, Clarissa.
Yep, I'll try to coordinate with Matt better next month so you guys can see his face.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Mr. Spratlin, we have our OEM next. And we actually have you for two items, CIP program and OEM. So where would you like to start?
Lucky you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Yes.
Morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Ms. Kim. Morning, Ian. Mr. Travis. All right, I'm gonna drop everything here, so,
Some of these people out here a while ago.
even the speaker. All right. So you got my report. Any misspelled words?
No, not that I caught, but I did read it.
I know you did. It's wonderful, yeah. So just, everybody knows this report, this monthly report is on the website, on my page on the website for all public to look at. They have any concerns, of course, they can contact me. We're still in that drought disaster declaration until February 4th, and then we'll review it again. Just some of the highlights that's going on. I added some additional information on economic development. Jessica was nice enough to give me a little spiel on that. Because we're in that drought disaster, the water situation is still, it's on its way up. McPhee's actually up to 33,872 now. So we're getting some water underneath the ice, slowly but surely. And then Jackson Gulch is still at 55% capacity. Sheltering, Red Cross kind of gave a yearly report, but they have assisted us in 5 home fires that occurred in Montezuma County this year. And they've been doing a lot of work for us in this area. We also have a really good response for sheltering if that ever had to occur. Plus, we have our own sheltering trailer full of items. In COVID, the state has revised their stats now. So it's the latest that I read. They're not just saying 89 people have passed because of COVID. Now they're stating that 89 deaths had COVID and only 37 were caused by COVID. So they're actually narrowing it down some more. So that's in that report. And then the highly pathogenic avian influenza, Prowers County. They've been working on that since December 9th. And so they got quarantine orders up there. And I believe we have another issue in Colorado as well. So we're still seeing that around. Nothing for us, of course. And then just underneath performance grant, I find it interesting. I just received an email 2 days ago. Yes. And it said, you're officially approved for the 2022 grant. Official. So that's nice. You owe us $33,376. Oh, that's coming really quick. Okay, because I'm filling out the 4th quarter report where you're going to owe me even more. So we'll see how quickly that comes in, but it's official. Throughout November, December, and probably the beginning of January is a lot of reporting and dealing with the state, filling out forms, and other requests of the state's going on. So with that, I looked at our emergency operations plan again with the tool that we're supposed to utilize, and we scored 100%, which is good. And then under the critical storing, we're still at 97%, but we're going to look at that next year and kind of clean it up, add a couple things, and then we'll get it reapproved. That way we keep a certain period of time, so I'm not doing all those plans in 1 year. I'm just taking a step at a time. So we're going to look at the emergency operations plan next year. Hazard mitigation plan, we've got several grants because items our gaps were seen in that, so we have a couple grants that we're working on through that hazard mitigation plan, and I've updated that for 2022 on progress. You guys are more than happy if you'd like something else to read. I know you're pretty bored, you don't have much to read, but if you want something else to read, I'd send it to you. And then the generator grant for 90-10, 90% FEMA pays, 10% us. Officially submitted 11/28. We're still cleaning up some loose ends, working with CDPHE on getting a response back from them. But otherwise, that's been submitted, ready to go. And then Ian and I painfully looked at all the MOUs, the MAAs, the IGAs. We cleaned them up. We've got a nice little file now that is archived MOUs and current ones, and then we'll keep track of those. Maybe a couple more we may need to enter into, but for now, at least all that's pretty much taken care of. Sawmills and wood products, went out and visited 4 sawmills, the major ones. I've got 4 more to go. Haven't heard a response from them, but I'll just wander out and give them a call. So we'll finish up some of that loose ends. And then, so training and drills, numerous things, but I'm proud to say they've officially approved my certification. I am now an Emergency Operations Center Manager, certified. I don't know what that means, but it means
You're
I'm certifiable.
Yes. So
And
is that different types? Is that type 1, type 2, type 3 teams, or?
That's just
is it
straight up
just a
type 1,
certification?
anything, yeah, anything that occurs now because of East Canyon Fire, COVID, and everything else that we've done, opening up the EOC and all the curriculum I have to pass and all the, the training. So, yeah, just official now. So I think it takes a little off of liability as well once you got that so-called certification. And then I put in for my renewal certification for incident commander, logs chief, that's up for review. The PIO, public information officer, and myself we attended a crisis management for school-based incidents up in Norwood last week. Real good presentation. We're probably going to bring it down to our area. I was talking to the chief of police about it, Vernon, and he said, yeah, so we're going to bring it in. It's really good information for the schools, help them prepare. Let's see. And then the PIO and myself are going to end up at the Colorado Emergency Managers Association conference in February. That's kind of like a CCI for me. So we're headed up to look at all the latest legislations and network and, get stuff organized, have a lot of work sessions, work groups, etc. So we're headed up there. And then training and exercise plan for the year is developed for 2023, 24, and 25. All the gaps that I could pick out of just about everything that we've done for the last 3 years. Put it all in one place. So talked to a lot of stakeholders, so we should be running ahead. That's emergency management gaps is what we're looking at in those, trying to clean those up. And pretty much my life is kind of like yours now, November, December, and a little January. Paperwork, read a lot, paperwork, a lot of stuff. So kind of the winter time.
Middle of January is coming pretty quick, and then it's going to change.
Yep.
So.
Yep, a lot of stuff. So working on that. There's numerous end-of-year reports that we normally do, and then the state is behind, so they're sending us a lot of documents and surveys and reports that we have to fill out and get to them by January 10th, and that includes human services, myself, public health, on and on. So a lot of keeping us busy. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. Earning my money.
Good.
And that's it for emergency management. You got any questions? No?
Not at this time.
All right.
Do you have anything for CIP?
Yes. So it was on the agenda. We left it there. I'm going to try to do it every quarter at January. I would bring you a more detailed report. Right now, looking at it, I've got a budget, and then looking at what Phaedra gave us, finance gave us. So there's a couple other items outstanding we're going to be paying off this year. They're all done. All the invoices are in for the ARPA money that we have left. And then we're going to roll over. It looked like we guesstimated $165,000. You guys approved that rollover. When you approved the budget. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. So.
Yeah, we haven't approved the budget yet.
Right, so please approve the budget. So I'll get a final figure to figure out exactly, make sure my Excel spreadsheet is matching up with the counties and that everything's paid. So we worked on that. We also I'm working on contracts for next year, so we'll probably bring you a couple contracts in January. We're going to go ahead and continue with Cortez Fire, and Axis.
So do we have to rebid that, or is that
No,
just
Ian and I talked about it. The contract for Axis says it will continue if we're happy with each other's services,
Gotcha.
and we're just gonna continue it,
So
so.
we don't have to go through the process that we did the first time when we
The
were hiring
RFPs and it, no.
a
no.
clinician and the EMTs, so they're just gonna stay with the
That-
standard contract?
Yeah, that contract was written in a way that there's an automatic renewal unless we elect to terminate.
Okay.
Yep. So we were pretty happy with that. So they're both entities are working on their contracts. Of course, we won't pay them until we get the contract signed. The behavioral health grant, I've got a work plan in with deliverables, and I have to give them a report by January 15th. Of course, it's a grant funding. And we've already submitted some items to them, so we've begun using that funding source, and the other source will just stay where it's at for now. So, and that is I shouldn't say it out loud, but it's easier to work with than some of the other grants I'm working with, so. They're real helpful. And then the secure transportation program that was deemed for public health so that we can transport any behavioral health patients. We have to put in for a license. I believe it's $400 a year. So we have the funding in CIP to do that, and I think I'm the first one that's going to be putting in for it. So we'll see how that process works. So.
New process.
Right, always
new.
a new process,
Just
brand new.
approved.
The state said, hurry up and do it, and I think the health department's organized and got it ready to go. So I'm reviewing that process, and we'll get that as well started. So that's about it
Okay.
for that update.
Questions?
No questions?
All right.
Get out of here.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I don't see CFPD here, so I'm gonna move right on by that, and I'm gonna go to new business. We've already dealt with the contract for Town of Dolores and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. I'll go to ClearGov, the conversation with that. Travis?
So this is a budgeting software that coincides with our current software. It's just a little more user-friendly. This is in the budget for 2023. However, talking to ClearGov, their prices are going to increase January 1st. So we wanted to get our current quote locked in at the 16,360. And if you look at the bottom, cancellation options allow us, if it's not approved, then we're not held to follow this service contract. So basically, I just need approval to go into this service contract so that we can lock in our current price and not increase it January 1st.
Question?
No, I know this operating system.
I move, let's see, what are we doing? 16.3.
It's two numbers. It'd be the 2880 and the 16.3.
I move we approve the ClearGov setup services and ClearGov subscription services from January 2023 on to December 31st, 2025, I guess.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and sign the ClearGov service order in the amount of $2,880 for the service setup fee and the annual service subscription fee of $16,360, running from January 2023 to January or December 31st, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have a DocuSign that's come to me a cajillion times. And it's for our faster grant agreement with MoCo. Ian, do you have anything to add to this?
You know, I did look this over. I talked with Jennifer Morris a little bit about it. The money's gonna be used to help her down at MoCo, fund vehicles and other operations there. It's got the standard state language in the contract that always gives me a little bit of consternation. I mean, it basically says that if the state deems that it wants to pull out, that it, and pulling out is in the public interest, it can do so. But that's something that we see across every state contract. And so, other than that, I think I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
I got it.
All right. I move we approve the faster grant agreement for MoCo. The agreement number is 23-HTR-00056/491003092.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the faster grant with the state of Colorado agreement, CDOT, Department of Transportation in Montezuma County, in the amount of $24,000. Any further discussion?
That's almost $1,000 for every number there.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, and I will sign this right now.
That was almost a full alphabet. Jeez.
Okay. Well, that is working. Kim, as soon as it logs me in, I'll get you a copy of that. All right, next we have our CDPHE, Montezuma County landfill contract agreement. We were not able to pull that up in DocuSign, so we'll leave that. We'll put that on our next agenda for unfinished business. I did send it to Ian, but he was able to undo it or unwind it to get it to where we could even read the contract. So that one will wait for the landfill. Moving along to unfinished business, we have Ms. Frizzell here with us, and we have liquor license renewal for Westview RV Park.
Hello.
Good morning.
I'm Jerry Frizzell from Montezuma County Clerk and Recorders doing a liquor license renewal for Westview RV Resort at 12092 Highway 145 in Dolores. I've got the report from Sheriff Nolan. No violations.
I would so move we approve the liquor license renewal for Westview RV Park.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept and sign the renewal liquor license for Westview RV Park located at 12092 Highway 145, Dolores, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Okay, next we have a discussion for our 2023 holiday schedule. You want to pull that up, Travis?
So this is the proposed holiday schedule based upon the survey that we put out. And I'll bring the survey up. So we put out a survey to the employees as it relates to options. And as you can see below, only 20% wanted to keep it as is, and then increased 25% replacing President's Day, and I can't remember what other day, but we switched off 2 different days. That way, we would be able to have a day off of
It was President's Day and Columbus Day, or Indigenous Day,
Indigenous Day,
whichever one you want to call
and
it.
I believe there was a third one in there, I can't remember. There's three options. Juneteenth.
Mhm.
So, based upon that, this is
This is the recommendations of
the
staff?
recommendation, correct?
So we're replacing Friday for Thanksgiving, and we're observing one of the other holidays, and the same with Christmas, the day after Christmas, I'm sorry. The 26th, is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
So 25th and 26th, and then the 23rd and 24th for Thanksgiving.
Comments, questions for Travis?
No, I looked at this, I'm good with it.
Okay, so we're just allowing them to move days around and use them where they want them for Christmas and Thanksgiving? Okay. Commissioner, do you have anything?
No, I'm fine with that.
It'll stay at 10 days the way I look at it, correct? If I'm counting properly?
Yeah.
It says New Year's Day is 2024, but that doesn't count.
Right.
That'll be with next year, so, all right.
Move we approve the Montezuma County official county holidays for 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the Montezuma County official county holidays for 2023 as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Dustin, I see him walked in. We have the service contracts, and today you have those broken down and will have us a recommendation, correct?
We approved what we were gonna do, and then Superior Services declined accepting the administration building. So I need to see what we wanna do there as far as, and here's.
So what was the reason? So did they keep Annex 3, or?
Yeah, he said he just didn't think that he would be able to do the job adequately with both of them. So Ron and Ruth Stockwell are the next in line, but I've called them 4 times when I was trying to get references, and I've never received a phone call back. I left messages each time. I have times and dates if you'd like them. So the next one would be Monica's cleaning service, or put it out for bid again.
I personally think that we should put it out for bid again. I think if
Well, the other piece of it is, I mean, technically, the bid was put out, we accepted it. We could conceivably hold the individual to it.
Well, what was in the RFP? Was there a bond or anything that went with it to make it, I mean, to hold it?
No, but I mean, he still made the offer, and we accepted it. And so, I mean, conceivably,
Verbal contract.
it is a contract. I don't know whether you want to go down that road, whether it's worth it.
I don't think
I don't.
It's just,
I
I just think,
is that a-
I just want to put it out there as an option for you guys.
I agree we should rebid it. Will
Just
that,
the
will that
administrator.
interrupt the services?
I can contact the current company and see if they can go month to month.
Okay.
And you said you haven't gotten any response from Stockwell?
No, I have not. And I know I was getting through to the right phone number because it said, "Hi, this is Ruth." And I left 4 voicemails and haven't had a return call.
Well, with the numbers exposed, I mean, we're gonna end up, I mean, I'd like to rebid it, but we also have the numbers in front of us too, and I think that's what you're saying, is we can just go ahead and go to the next bidder.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option as well.
Commissioners? The numbers are all exposed. I can almost tell you what's gonna happen is that these numbers are all gonna go up, because they're all exposed.
Yeah.
It's public anybody can pull it up online and anybody can look at what the numbers are.
Let's see if you can get a hold of Stockwell's then. Before we award that
Keep
bid.
trying, and if you can't get to them, then bring it back to us next week under unfinished business, and that's a lot of money between
Yeah.
$30,000.
All right, I will do my best.
Are you okay with that, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well then, try to get a hold of Stockwell, and if you can't, then bring it back to us by next week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dustin.
Okay, Travis, next we have our certification of our mill levies. And these are all the mill levies that are in Montezuma County. I think we have 42 overlays, is that correct?
Correct.
So this is everything from school districts, water districts, ambulance, libraries,
Special districts.
special districts, town of Dolores, town of Cortez, town of Mancos, every special levy that we have that have been voted on by the people of Montezuma County. So with that, I'll let you take it from there, Travis.
So basically, we just need approval, a motion to approve the mill levies for all the special districts. I would normally go through all the numbers, but there's a lot of numbers, and it'll take us 2 or 3 days to go through those. They are available, so I just need a motion and approval to accept these certification of levies and revenues.
I would so move, we approve the certification of levies and revenues for Montezuma County for the year 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the certification levies and revenues by Montezuma County for the budget year 2023. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I know there's a spot here somewhere.
Right down there.
Should be page 2, Commissioner, at the bottom.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
I would so move that we go into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B, for legal advice on a potential litigation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to enter into executive session for a conference with the attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS, Section 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses B. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
included in that session will be Administrator Anderson, Attorney McLaren, Commissioners Lindsay, Candelaria, Copenhaver, and our clerk and recorder, Ms. Purcell. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move we come out of executive session at this time.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to exit executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll now resume our normal business meeting. With that, we have a report from our attorney, Mr. McLaren.
So, last week, Commissioner Copenhaver and I attended two meetings with our NCA work group. The meetings were looking at the potential NCA legislation. It did go to congressional committee, and then some of the federal agencies had responded with comments, changes. There were some slight alterations to the proposed map. Some different little tweaks that were made to the bill. And so as a work group, we got together and talked about what would be acceptable, what wouldn't be acceptable. The ultimate hope was that the NCA legislation would be included in a package before the end of the year, a package of bills that was going to include the government spending bill that keeps the economy up and running. Unfortunately, at the last second, the NCA legislation was not able to be included in that package. My understanding is that no large public land bills were included. There were some smaller bills that involved some small land things up to 250 acres, but because of the size of the NCA, it did not make it into that package. And so certainly a lot of work went in at the end to try to get that moved through. We spent a lot of time looking at some of the little tweaks, and felt like we had a good thing, but at this point, we're going to go back to the drawing board, and hopefully we can get it reintroduced after the new year. So that's really the biggest thing that I had to report from last week.
All right, thank you. James Dietrich walked in, our natural resources director. Come on down. What do you have for us today, Mr. Dietrich? Morning.
Okay, well, the first thing I wanted to talk about with the commissioners is, we had discussed getting some survey work done out there off of Road 14, and much to my surprise, I show up this morning, and sure enough, I've got a plat that's already done. So I did get a quote on that, but that's irrelevant at this point, apparently. So as you can see, we've already got a plat that's been put together for that. And so I think at this point, we probably want to visit with Ian about it. Of course, we have not visited with the landowner yet regarding this particular plat. But seems like we've got everything set up, and we're ready to advance those discussions then.
We actually did go out there and drive that, or I got lost out there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Trying to find it. So I can honestly say that last time we were here, I went to a new road that in Montezuma County that I have never been on,
Okay.
which brought up another discussion that I forwarded to Ian about Trail Canyon, and he's looking into something like that also.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, this is I think is all we have to do is move this forward with the landowner, but it sounded like she was in agreement with it anyway, and it keeps this road open all the way out to that BLM property.
Okay.
So we'll work on moving that forward then.
Okay, sounds good. And I'm happy to make contact with the landowner and everything to assist however we need to.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
does it just show the typical 60-foot right-of-way as it just follows the road?
That's correct. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe 60 foot is what it is, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, kudos to the road department because, boy, I tell you what, if you're standing around out there on the road, you're likely to get run over. Boy, those guys are moving. So good job for Rob. He did really good on this. So.
Yep. Okay.
The next thing I wanted to go on to is the CWPP. And I think the commissioners are all aware that we've been working on this for quite a while. We've had several versions of it go around. I believe the commissioners were copied in on the last version of it. We've secured all the signatory that we need to, except for the commissioners. And so I would bring that forward to the commissioners today. And it's your choice whether or not you'd like to sign it, or if you need more review, we can bring that back. So.
Questions?
No.
Comments, anything? Okay. You've reviewed everything. I mean, it's a matter of.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Okay. And as I explained to the commissioners, we wrote it into the plan that we're supposed to review this every 5 years. But my opinion on this is we ought to probably bring this forward every year, just to kind of review it. And then just this morning too, I got an email where one of the CWPPs for a local subdivision has been completed. So we'll try to figure out where all these live within our system and make sure that the public can access these. And then as new subdivision level CWPPs come online, we can just review those annually and roll those into the plan at that point. So hopefully when we get to the 5-year mark, hopefully we're up to speed well enough on the plan. It's not going to take a monumental effort to get it through again. So
Okay.
Anyway, that's the strategy. So.
All right, great.
There's the original signature sheet.
Yeah, look at
I think it takes all three of us too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would so move we sign the Montezuma County Wildfire Protection Plan.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept and sign the Montezuma County Wildfire Protection Plan, other known as CWPP. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Kim, I can get you a copy of that plan so that you have the signatory sheet right in the plan and everything. Okay, moving on. Did want to let the commissioners know that we've been doing an evaluation of the OREC respondents to our RFP. We had 6 respondents. And so the staff has gone through it, and we've done an evaluation, a written evaluation on each one of those. So, and we've also had participation from Mesa Verde Country on that. We thought that since those guys are involved with recreation tourism so heavily, that it would be good to get some input from them. So, and so right now we've got 6 respondents. I think we've got 4 that were pretty outstanding respondents. We had 2 that really didn't seem to have much experience with recreation at all. And so I'm thinking, those 2 are probably ones we probably just want to let go. But we are also doing interviews for the top 4 candidates. We interviewed 2 of them last week. I thought both of them were just outstanding respondents, and I thought both of them had a really good understanding of what we were after in Montezuma County. And, so both of those I think are excellent choices. We have 2 more to interview on Thursday, and I anticipate probably both of them are going to be very good too. So it's going to be probably, in my opinion, a pretty tight decision on all these. I will send all the proposals around to the commissioners so that you have a chance to look at the top 4. And again, if you would like to look at the other 2, let me know. I'll just send those around too. I really feel like neither one of them really quite fit what we're after. But then again, I'd be happy to send those around in case there's something we've kind of overlooked. So anyway, just be watching for those. They're fairly large files, so I'll try to get them compressed. And they probably won't come all in one file. So just be aware, probably 4 emails coming out. We also spent some time visiting with our affordable housing consultants. They've completed their initial research here in the county. They came down, they met with us. They also went around and met with all the municipalities in the county. So their initial findings were that each municipality has its own unique set of problems. With Dolores, they're relatively landlocked up there. Mancos has some landlocked problems. Water is obviously a problem there too. And they're really kind of more of a bedroom community to Durango, the way everybody's feeling right now. And then of course Cortez, we have a lot of lots available, but there's not a huge demand to get in there and start building on those lots. So, every municipality has its problems. But the other thing that kind of came out is that there seems to be sort of a little bit of misunderstanding between all the municipalities in the county for that 1 mile area. And I think really what it comes down to is that we all kind of have different visions for that area. And so really I think whatever we can do to kind of get out there and meet with those municipalities, we'll try to work on those areas and really kind of come up with a unified vision. And it may be 3 visions, because each one of those municipalities have different interest. But anyway, trying to pull those all together and get us all on the same page would help, I think, to kind of smooth things out a little bit on that. The other thing is these folks are kind of experts in land use codes. And so they reviewed our code, and they think there are a few areas in there where we could maybe just clarify a few things, make things a little easier for a developer to understand. So, and we figure, well, you know, we're all ears. We can listen to whatever, you know, input they have and evaluate, you know, whether or not a change would make sense for us. So anyway, and they seem to be very, very interested in really kind of trying to customize it for our county and the type of problems that we're facing here. We're obviously different than everywhere else in the state, and they're working on, you know, projects in very rural areas, but also working on projects in you know, the kind of more metropolitan areas up on the Front Range. So they understand that we're completely different, and I felt pretty good about that. One of the other things is that they pointed out is the unwillingness to consider doing annexation within that 1 mile area of influence, primarily due to the water problem there. And so that's something I think that we can spend some time working on. And these folks seem like they'd be very willing to take a crack at doing virtually anything we tell them to do with regard to the code, but also to possibly tackle some of the difficulties that we have with the water providers within that 1 mile area of influence. So in a nutshell, I think these guys are going after it the right way, and I think we hopefully are going to get some things that come out the other end of this that'll hopefully be pretty easy to implement policy-wise, and then, you know, who knows what else we'll uncover as this project unfolds. I also met with GOCO last week. They've got a new GOCO program coming out, which could possibly be helpful for the Paso Mesa Verde project. It's called the Centennial Program, and they're looking for pretty large asks from this. So I think what they're really kind of angled in on is property acquisitions with this particular program. It could possibly be helpful for us when we're dealing with state land board property down there. You know, we're probably looking at a situation where we're maybe asking for an adjustment to the highway right-of-way through there to alleviate the problems we have with the state land board. This program could possibly help us with that, although I think they're looking for a little bit larger type of proposal. Perhaps if we said, well, you know, we'd like to acquire the whole 750 acres of state land board down there, we're probably getting kind of more into the ballpark range of what they're kind of looking for on that. So I'll keep working with Estrella on that to see if we've got some paths forward on it. Obviously, land acquisition, and you know, for that whole 750 acres down there, you know, we've got you know, difficult problems that are starting to emerge down there. You know, with the trail system and everything, and the illegal camping. We also have the road access to that subdivision back in there. You know, maybe it is something we could have a conversation about, and whether or not that land would even be up for disposal, I don't know. But it's something we could talk with the land board about and try to find a way forward on this anyway. So we'll just keep working on that one. And then I did come to the conclusion that the RAISE grant will still require a benefit cost analysis. There was some hope that they were going to drop that requirement from that federal program. It looks like they've decided not to do that. So at this point, we're probably still required to do that study before we can apply for that grant. It is one of the most significant grants that we could tap into for that Paso Mesa Verde. They're looking at grants of anywhere between $1 million and $25 million is kind of the target ranges they're looking for. And that fits for us because we're looking at some fairly high dollar figures for that trail, which we don't get through GOCO unless we follow one of these new programs that they've got. So the research that I've done is I'm getting feedback that say that it's going to cost anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 to do a benefit cost analysis. My proposal would be to go in between that and set up a budget at $25,000 and do a three-way split on that between Cortez, Mancos, and the county.
And that covers the whole 17 miles, or
that would cover the whole trail.
18 miles.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I think it makes a lot more sense to look at the whole trail the whole thing is what's the benefit to us versus doing it piecemeal. And N.M.P.M seems to be okay with that, and I've talked with the city of Cortez, and they seem to be pretty okay with that too. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here, guys.
That's okay.
Kind of had a cold over last weekend here. So that would basically give us a budget of about $8,300 apiece to go ahead and pursue this. And so if the commissioners feel like this is something that we ought to, look into pretty seriously, I'll go ahead and start getting together. And I don't think we want to do a request for bids, but probably put this out. With that dollar amount, based off our procurement guidelines, we need three bids on that. If we hold it underneath that $25,000 range. So if the commissioners feel like this is the path forward, I'm happy to pursue that. But just ask for some direction today.
It doesn't hurt to try, so I would say move forward.
Okay, we'll do that.
The direction is to move forward. I think is what I'm getting.
Okay, sounds good. And then the last thing is, I just want to let the commissioners know that the MMOF funds on the Manka side, we've gotten the notice to proceed on that, and we've got the contract in place. We're still working on it on the Cortez side, and I kind of anticipate that's going to take probably another 2 or 3 weeks to kind of work through all that. One last thing before I lose my voice is I did get notice from OREC. It sounds like they're behind on their process, and they told me it's going to be about a month behind, so for us to get our grant into place on that. So I've noticed all of our respondents on that. Everybody seemed to be okay with it. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that and we're being transparent about it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, James.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Go take a cough drop and
Yeah, I
suck
think
on
I need
something to
one
soothe your
here.
throat. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
gentlemen.
All right. Travis, do you have anything else after you've given us everything you've got today?
Just a couple of things. So last week, we was at the CCI conference. That was an eye-opening experience for my first one. So from the County Administrators Association, though, just wanted to put a couple of things on your radar. Senate Bill 22-238, that addresses property tax and the school reform bill and how our property taxes are collected due to Gallagher. So I'm going to be meeting with Leslie and Phaedra to see how that's going to affect us over the next 2 to 3 years as it relates to our budget process. Then I met with Ian a little bit about the Plastic Pollution Reduction Act and how that comes into effect January 1st. Be meeting with Drew on that tomorrow and see how their process is going to interact with ours and what we have to do to make that, I don't know if successful is the right word, but accommodate the House bill anyways. So, and then cybersecurity and threats, that was a pretty interesting topic. I met with Jim, our IT director, and we're pretty well set. Obviously, there's always those issues, but hopefully we're not going to have the same problems that Fremont County had in the last 6 months or so. So that was pretty much it for the CCI.
All right. Thank you, sir. To my left, Commissioner Copenhaver.
Yes, this, since our last commissioner meeting on the 7th, I had a meeting at Southwest in Durango all day for the Southwest Water Conservation District. Since then, this last week, we did interview 2 candidates for the extension job. So that is in the process of hiring at this point. I also attended this CCI conference up in Denver Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I left there and flew to Las Vegas to be involved with the Colorado River Water Users Association meeting down there. Involves the 7 states, the upper and lower basin, and the 10 tribes that have water rights off of the river also. There was a lot of interesting topics, some real issues are coming forth with the fact that whole storage system is at a low point. And basically, the upper basin does not have enough storage to keep up with that lower basin down there. We just don't have the size of, or the capacity to store enough water to even begin to keep up with that lower basin. So there's gonna be some real issues, and there's gonna have to be some serious cutbacks unless we get a bunch of snow this winter. It's gonna force it into the actual drought reduction. They have agreed to limit Lake Powell to 7 million acre feet this next year. It was at 7.5 this year, but I think they've lowered it down to 7.5, or to 7 for this next year, so. I'm afraid what's gonna happen is if they don't actually start to conserve more on the other end and cut the gates back way, they're going to tank the lower river system. Right now, the other lakes below Lake Mead are still full, but Mead is way, way low, and eventually they're not gonna be able to maintain that. It looks to me like, so there's lots of issues there.
All right, thank you.
Yesterday, we interviewed for our Planning and Zoning Commission, and last week I also attended CCI, County Commissioners of Colorado, and had some good classes, met some good vendors up there. We talked to Magellan Strategies, we talked to our buddies at Enterprise, and give them a little bit of a earful. And I guess of all the vendors, I still can't figure out what TNT Fireworks was doing there, but they said they were just trying to get some exposure, and they were getting that. It's being a month, about 2 weeks later, it was pretty cold up there. And but there were some, the governor came down and answered some pre-asked questions, and only had 3, and then one from the floor, which I'm pretty sure was prearranged also. But other than that, it was good experience, good classes.
Good. All right, thank you. Mine is going to be very brief and short. On Thursday, after Commissioner Copenhaver was in Durango all day, my meeting was quick. We got it done in a half a day, which was a TPR meeting. A lot of discussion there as far as it related to the STAC meeting with the TAP funding. And we just got an email yesterday that our STAC meeting that was supposed to happen in January has now been canceled again because they've revisited everything and are going to move back to what we had requested for that. Again, like Commissioner Lindsay said, we had our interviews all day yesterday. We interviewed, I think, 12 people for our Planning and Zoning Commission, and those will be forthcoming in the next week. And with that, I have no further report.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn this 12/20/22 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.